Hi, good afternoon. My name is Maria Karstarfin, and I am the proud superintendent of Atlanta Public Schools. Welcome to our second APS district virtual town hall, and we're here to answer your questions regarding what we are.
Maria Karstarfin,
Oh
and
my.
I'm the proud superintendent of Atlanta Public Schools.
And we are, sorry about that. And we are here to talk to you about where APS is in our crisis related to COVID-19. So we have been closed for 3 weeks now, and everyone's been teleworking and teleschooling. But there are some questions that have been raised recently, given the action of Governor Kemp on Wednesday, April 1st. That's when he announced that all K through 12 schools in Georgia will remain closed for in-person instruction for the remainder of the school year. Now, in keeping with that order, Atlanta Public Schools will also remain closed for the remainder of the school year for in-person instruction. Now, we've entered unprecedented times. I'm here in gloves. You can see people around the community wearing face masks. We have Clorox wipes for every surface that we touch. So this is not normal anymore. And because of that, we've had to change a lot of what we've been doing. So while we were on trial mode when the initial announcement happened 3 weeks ago, we have now moved into trying to create a more normal, innovative, virtual, digital learning environment. It's blended, it's online, and it has been complicated for parents, for caregivers, for our staff, and including our students. So this town hall is for you, and I'll have a couple of things that I want to share before we get into it. So please go to the virtual town hall, start putting your comments in, ask your questions, and we will answer them with the time we have. So I just want to be clear. No matter what, I know things are changing all the time, but school is open. It is open. You are expected to still do your job. You are expected to still be doing your schoolwork. You are expected to be participating and engaging in ways that shows us that you're still part of the learning and teaching process. So the governor's order does not mean that you started spring break early or you get to extend your summer. You need to still be working in the process that we have today. And I will admit, things are changing fast, and we will be making other decisions as information becomes available. And we'll be making decisions that might be right for Atlanta, but may not be right for other counties or areas that you may live in or you may hear about. So while I can appreciate that other districts, other school boards, other superintendents, other legislators, and other communities may be making certain decisions, those may not be right for Atlanta Public Schools. So please work with us as we sort out what's best for our kids and families at this time. So it is a heavy lift. We don't want anyone losing instructional time. We're doing everything we can to do this in an environment that allows us to also work in the realism of what it means to have a virus that is a pandemic across our planet. So your patience and understanding is much appreciated. Now, I want to pause for a second and say that for all of us at Atlanta Public Schools, our heart goes out to the seniors of the class of 2020. I know they're facing a great deal of uncertainty about proms, graduations, getting ready for college. What does this mean for a job? I mean, by virtue of this class just being forced into this pandemic through their graduation, we know that while it is not ideal for you at all, we have faith and belief in you. You'll be more resilient, more prepared than any graduating class before you. So we're going to be as sensitive to that as possible. And as your superintendent, I want you to know, especially as it relates to graduation, That is going to be the hardest decision to make, to find the right strategy to try to do our best to really engage you and allow your families to engage in that special moment. So I've seen other districts making the call. They're going fully virtual, or they're doing something else like not having it at all. That's not what I'm focused on. We're trying to figure out how we can do something special for our seniors. I just need time to work that through and to make sure that it would be acceptable to the health department and acceptable under the constraints that we have while we live in this virus. So hold on with me on that one, because graduation solutions are being vetted, but it's your opportunity to give me some ideas today too, because I want to consider everything that's on your heart and in your mind. All right, so I'm going to switch from my introduction to some of your questions. I'd like to give a shout out to a couple of folks that have been out there supporting and helping. Remember, APS is about 6,000 employees strong. Half of them are what we call the instructional staff, and the other half is what we call sort of the support staff. So you have teachers and principals and a lot of folks in central office working in one side of our organization, and then food workers and police officers and custodians and facility workers are all doing the backroom work that you typically don't see. So I want to say thank you to both sides of the camp for really hanging in there with us, especially those essential employees who've been on the front lines every day, potentially exposing themselves to the virus. And that is, of course, disconcerting for them and their families. But we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for doing that. I'd also like to thank the Atlanta School Board for continuing to support the organization, the administration, the superintendent, as we work through a lot of tough questions without even being able to meet as a team to be able to go through a lot of this, which is what we would normally do. So it's been a struggle for everyone, but I want Atlanta to know that we are working strong and hanging in there for our kids and our families. So let me take some of the questions. I'm just going to do them in order as they're being presented. My computer's a little slow, so I'm a few comments behind, but I'll start with, does the state relax PE and health requirements? And so I want to be clear. As it stands right now, you still have to complete your PE requirements. The PE class is available virtually. You are able to get those resources. I'm sorry, I haven't finished the second question. So please continue to do your work. It's important that we document your participation and engagement. Things may change over time, but for now, do that virtual PE course. And then I think I saw a comment that said, when will you have seniors stop their work or tick the box that that you have done your graduation requirements. As it stands right now, you are still going to school every day. You're expected to do your coursework, and I've heard that other districts have made other decisions for seniors, but as it stands today in Atlanta Public Schools, we have not checked the box that you have finished your graduation requirements. Our teachers are still doing grades, and I want to make sure that we give them the time to do what they know is necessary for us to do a quality job. So you are still in school, you're still doing your coursework, you're still expected to do those requirements virtually. The next question was, do you have a system in check for the most vulnerable families? Like, do they have access to food in a pantry? For what it's worth, it is much bigger than a food pantry. Yes, all of our schools are contacting our families and pushing out food. Food in Atlanta is a real challenge. We are the most unequal city for income distribution in the country, and that has been a couple of years running. So poverty is real in Atlanta. Kids and families do have food insecurities. So we have 10 distribution sites, anchor sites, where we do shelf-stable and fresh produce for our families. We even do, sometimes we have to do kind of like boutique designs or one-offs where we team up with Zifty. They will drive food to apartment buildings so that our staff can receive it and serve families. So there isn't a single cluster in Atlanta Public Schools where there are children in poverty that we are not serving. So I've heard the stories, I've heard the lore, I've heard people make comments that North Atlanta families who are in poverty or Grady families that are in poverty do not have access to food. That is absolutely not true. So we have teams of people. Last time I did a shout out to our ESOL department. I'm shouting out individual principals like at Hope Hill that made it possible for us to expand our designs and serve families. So that is absolutely happening. The Atlanta Community Food Bank is providing food for us in addition to what we're doing. And Gooder, which is a new nonprofit, has been shoulder to shoulder with us, providing addresses and direct service to our families. And you can sign up. As a matter of fact, when we raise money, and we have raised money for some of these nonprofits, they actually dedicate the services to APS families. So if you're an APS family, you can sign up and they will make sure that you have those dedicated resources where we have raised money for their organizations. The next question is, have you been discussing about wrapping up the school year soon? So as it stands right now, it is business as usual. So everything you've been experiencing, we're continuing to do. However, I do want to say this. I am working with our chief financial officer, and I do want to say that I will let you know if this changes, but the models that are going to be required for us to be able to generate enough resources to address the gap in learning for the next school year will require that we have these conversations now. Because if you actually want to help and solve and cobble up as much in money as you will need to do probably two additional things: extend the school day and extend the school year. It's one or the other or both. And that is a multi-million dollar proposition. So what she is doing literally right now and has been doing is looking at a non-personnel spending freeze. And as I work through the numbers on that, we're hopeful that the rest of April and into May would mean that we could cobble about $12 million. And what we really need is something closer to 20 million or more to be able to do a model that allows us to do some of the instructional recapturing that we want to do, but it will cost money. So I know that if we actually end the school year earlier, that it would mean real dollars that we could redirect later after we're on the other side of COVID-19. I don't have any real models to show, but we do know how to do enough back of the napkin work about Atlanta Public Schools for me to feel comfortable that if we were to cost out the extended school year and the extended day, plus doing some aggressive work around how we use the rest of this school year, we might actually be able to leave APS in a better place later. So this is a kind of like probably, it's a little PG-13, but if you've ever seen like gangrene, it starts in where you don't have a lot of blood flow. So what I feel like is COVID-19 is squeezing us so hard that we can find on our hand areas where we're just going to run out of money and resources if we don't stop running the old system, get further into the virtual system, and start really letting go of one in preparation for the next school year. So we're trying to figure out, like, I'd rather lose 2 digits on my hand than the whole hand or the arm or it actually kills us and we can't recover. So we are working as fast as we can, and you can anticipate that I am actually looking at with the team and the school board the various scenarios that it would take for us to really have APS get off to a great start when we finally do come back after the COVID-19 virus crisis. School choice and transfer date changes is another one. The General Administration Transfer app window is still open, so you need to just do that. APS will end up being a regular school system again, so continue to do that. However, we did extend it to May 1st. So I know everybody's discombobulated right now and you need to take a breather. You can still do that, and you have that extension. A question about when will you tell high school seniors they are considered graduates? I think I've already answered that question, but again, do your work, and I'm working with teachers and high school principals and our associate superintendent for high schools that when they are cleared for being a graduate, we still have to do our work. And I know, like I said, I hear other districts doing things, but we still have high standards for you, and we expect everyone to still do as much as they can to ensure that students complete their assignments, and when we do graduate you really have graduated. Another question is, why don't kindergarten, the question is, why don't kindergarten students have devices? I would ask, why don't pre-K and kindergarten not have devices? So the answer is they do, but some of them. So we're short about 56% as it stood at this last count on our students at those two grade levels having enough in devices. So I'll talk about devices for a second, and I'll come back if people have more questions. But when we look at APS, what I'm seeing is that it still looks like about 6,000 students just still aren't logging in, or they're so inconsistent that we need to get to the bottom of. Is it that you don't have a device? Is it that you don't have connectivity? Is it that you have had to move around, or we just don't know. So we're pushing out devices again today. Just a week ago, we pushed out 9,000 additional devices. This week, we're pushing another around 1,800 devices. And then we're going to have to change our model again to get closer and closer to home. So I know that elementary schools are short, and we've been able to push out all the devices for those schools. And the next shift is, if there's anything else in any other school, we're going to be redirecting even more devices to different schools so that we can push it out. But I'm going to add this caveat now so people can replay it later whenever they need it. We had to dismantle our high quality online testing program with the devices that were in our school computer labs, on the carts that we pushed around. We've dismantled all of that. So those devices are now out in the community. Parents, caregivers, please keep up with the APS technology. Please. We are going to need it returned until we have a chance to replenish it, which will require, as you know, after this economic pressure, a lot of resources to rebuild. So please keep up with the technology. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But in the meantime, I need you to please be understanding and have some responsibility there. When will you get final transcripts and grades? They are going to be available after graduation and after all the final grades are calculated. So you will not be seeing those anytime soon. And attendance. So what we've been doing for attendance is participation as kids log in and complete assignments. We are checking your engagement. We even have principals and teachers calling your homes. Even your superintendent will show up at your house. I have done that numerous times, wanting to get to the bottom, and we're not making any assumptions about whether or not you've done things right or wrong. This is no judging. We are just coming to put our hands on the situation and get you the answers that you need to be able to participate and engage in the process. So we are out there and checking on you. So make sure you do your login. And I'm encouraging students to still go into my backpack to do the logins. We're always writing programs to try to get all the systems to talk when maybe they're not talking perfectly. But my backpack is the best way for you to ensure that your login is being checked. And if your teacher's reaching out to you, sending you notes and things of that sort, respond. We want to know that you're out there and that you're okay. Even if the instructional stuff isn't coming together, we just want to know that you're okay and that you're still, you can tell us whatever you need. It's all right. There's a little, when we do daily check-ins, you can write, like, if it's a food issue or, our car broke down. APS can't do everything, but we can find people to help you. So just know we're here for you. Our summer I don't know what that means, but our building's open for the summer. I think that's what I'm reading. We are still determining summer plans. And I think that the virus is going to determine whether or not we're able to open our buildings. As you know, when APS is closed, we've closed playgrounds, fields, buildings, and so we're not opening those back up until we can. And so right now, all of that is closed. Grading, when is the last day? The last day has not changed, so May 22nd is still the last day for grading. Now, if there's any way to shift or change that because we make other decisions for the school year, we'll let you know. So we're doing this town hall today before spring break to just push out a lot of answers. But we'll be working and thinking all through the break so that when we come back, we can have more detailed questions about the big picture adjustments that we may need to make to be able to end the school year strong and have enough left to be able to start the next school year. Community senior hours, which are required for graduates. Yes, we have waived that requirement, that procedure here within the authority of Atlanta Public Schools for the seniors who have not completed it. We understand that you can't be out in the community doing that requirement. So, and it's really too bad because if you've gone to APS graduations and you've seen when we ask students to stand up who completed their community service hours, you will see how amazing our seniors are and what they do, and the projects they've done have been so beautiful over the years. It makes me sad that Atlanta won't get the benefit of their contributions. So next question, what community organizations or which community organizations are helping? I think I mentioned the Atlanta Community Food Bank, Gooder, which is another food provider. Hands on Atlanta has served as volunteers for packaging and putting the food together. The United Way has been a great partner. They're going to be, as they always have, bringing resources to bear. And I'm hopeful that we'll be getting some support from the National Guard based on the pressures they're under and the limitations they have. We are hoping that they'll be a partner too. So those are just some examples of people who've been helping us most consistently through this. I also want to shout out the Whiteford clinics. They've opened up and made our employees a priority for coronavirus testing. And I'm sure I'm forgetting people, and I apologize. But those are just the top several that come to mind at the outset. Are all students being promoted? No, that is not going to be true. Students who have mastered standards, who have not mastered standards can still be retained. So you must make sure that if you have any challenges with technology, devices, that you are calling your principal, letting them know what the issues are. But we are still in school and we are treating it as such. So I know there's been a lot of talk about pass fail, just kind of pass everyone and let students move forward. This happened a little later in the school year, so we had a good sense of where kids were before we left in March. So we are still expecting students to do some content mastery or demonstrate that they have been working toward that content mastery before they are automatically passed. Are students being penalized for late work? Students are expected to turn your work in on time. I was out in the community. If you need an extension, I've seen teachers write to students, take calls. I even saw a teacher passing out food in one of our neighborhoods, talking to one of our students, saying that you do have to turn your assignments in on time and check in every day. So we're not starting with penalizing because we know there's students who are still struggling, but for those who we know have devices and we know have connectivity and we know you have supports at home and everything else, you absolutely need to be doing your work on time. Will there be summer school? Now, I can't make determinations about summer school until we figured out any final determinations about this current school year. I also have raised with the governor questions about will the state be leaning in again? So the pattern has been that the state has said schools are closed until a certain date. What our question was on the table that we still wanted to have answered is, will they be coming back saying schools in Georgia are expected to open by a certain date? And if that is true, because they're going to direct us potentially controlling the summer loss and the coronavirus loss, will they be directing us? So I have posed that question. I know at this time they're not prepared to answer that right now, but that is something that APS did put on the table, because that would dramatically change what we would be doing for our plans for the summer and even for the next school year. Will students be getting work packets? I can't read that question. Will students be getting work packets we are sending home? I think that's what the question is. We're trying to get all of our students the packets they need online so that you don't have to worry about going back and forth to school. We did do that initially, but as the virus continued to ramp up, we are absolutely trying to provide the same level of service, but with less exposure for families, for children, for our staff members. So everything will be posted online, and packets for kids who do not have connectivity, or students who have special needs or IEPs and need something special from their school. Call your principal, because we can get those scheduled. And sometimes I've even seen them just go do direct delivery and leave it on the porch for the family to pick up. Can you do a live session just for staff? Absolutely. We did those. You may have missed it. It's called Maria Meetup. We do those inside of our, what's the name of that? Workplace, the workplace program, that we have inside of APS. So we have done those, the Maria Meetups. So if you missed it, you can always replay it. If not, as you know, communications will just schedule another one. Yeah, so happy to, and staff just have to email us and let me know if there are specific questions for staff that you want us to answer, and we can do that in our next Maria Meetup. Will teachers introduce new curriculum? Where am I in my list? Will teachers introduce new curriculum in May? It's because it's usually testing time. I'm assuming your teachers are teaching to the last day. I'm not sure I understand that question. But we did have to slow down because of the closure. So I guess teachers are catching up. I'm not sure if they're able to do a lot of new curriculum, and I'm going to just do a sidebar for a second about teachers. And this is part of the reason why I want to really be reflective about how we spend April and May and how much of April and May we will be spending under this design. Teachers are also caregivers. Many of them are. They have their own families that they're trying to have other teachers teach and support through virtual learning, while they are on the other side trying to do teaching for APS kids. And so I've heard from a lot of teachers, and I just don't think it's sustainable. It is a lot of pressure. It's been a lot of stress. And while everybody is putting their best foot forward, I think we are starting to feel the burn. And so we may at some point have to make some adjustments. But I think like creating a lot of new curriculum here on the back end is probably a little bit of too much of an unfair expectation on them while they are trying to be both caregiver and teacher. So refunds for seniors, dues and fees. You're going to have to contact your school about those refunds. Our principals know the expectations around that. Now, I'm not going to do a blanket refund statement in large part because different students have done different things. So contact your school. They know what you've done, and they can help you there. Will the work that students are doing now count? Absolutely. Yes, you must. Because, you know, if there's anything I've learned about being in different states and different school districts and the way like crisis and drama typically happens, even with APS, with the cheating scandal, people start kind of conveniently forgetting what the drama was, what the shock to the system was. And there's a lot, I mean, people tend to throw a lot of shade 5 years later, or you're in elementary school today, but you're gonna be in high school later. And they kind of forget that, that the history was being made in that crisis moment. So revisionist history often happens. So what I want to do is help students and families protect themselves. Get your child logged in. Do the engagement. Do the logins, because you do not want for any reason at any point later for someone to say when your kid's getting close to graduation that X, Y, or Z did not happen. And then you're trying to go back and create a documentation that, you know, that's just too hard to do when there's so much change and transition in these, you know, in these systems. So help yourself and help your child by making sure they do their work and that it is documented during this time. Food over spring break. So if you remember, everything that we've been doing is going to change. It starts the Monday we get back from spring break. So today's deliveries, the 622 bus routes, the 10 distribution sites and all of that is going to shift. But what we're going to do for spring break, and every school district isn't doing this, but we're teaming up with the food bank. And at 5 of our sites, I hope I can read, Bunch Middle School, Cleveland, Douglas High School, Sylvan Middle School, and Phoenix Academy, which is the old Crim building. They are going to stay open tomorrow, Saturday, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And what we're going to do is, so if you're walking, bring some help. If you are driving, we're going to work a drive-through and a walk-through method. Please be sensitive to the volunteers and the staff members. Bring your mask or tie a scarf around your face. Bring your gloves, pop your trunk, and we're going to load about a week's worth of groceries for about a family of 4. We can't do everything for everyone. It is open to all of Atlanta. I really encourage Atlanta Public Schools families to please come if you know you need that support, and we will load you up with everything that we have. Those sites will close when we run out of food. So please don't be mad at us, and don't be testy with the volunteers and the staff members. We're doing the best we can with anybody who's signing up to help us tomorrow. I also want to say that if you are walking up, the bags are heavy because it's going to have shelf-stable food in it. And that's like cans and boxes so that you can cook throughout the week. There won't be a lot of perishable items, although we are trying to get fresh produce, vegetables, and fruit if we can. And also, I know that there have been some people who have been disappointed in some of the food options. The food bank did get a grant from the United Way to be able to go purchase more food that might be more appealing to our families. I know that there's been some requests for a more culturally palatable items as well. So forgive us for not being able to do all the specialized services, but know that we did get that feedback. We have passed that along, and we're hopeful that that people can get more options that they like and that you deserve. So apologies in advance if it's not the food choices that you like. Cleaning of the buildings is underway. Yes, we're starting with the day one look, the shiny floors, the scrub down, the washing of the windows, and so on and so forth. But we're also doing the COVID-19 deep clean with the environmentally appropriate chemical killers, whatever, virus killers, anything that's creepy like that. Yep, we're using those chemicals. So I know there were a lot of people who said, my child has, sensitivities, and we had moved. Can you believe this? We had moved, to green cleaners. It's just, but it's more important right now that we kill the virus. So we will shift back to our more normal way of cleaning once we're over this hump. I thought you said no 0 grades, but students are receiving zeros. Why are students being penalized? Students are not given zeros for missing work. So teachers know that they're supposed to be allowing kids to do that makeup work. And they also know that not every kid has been set up with devices perfectly. So whoever wrote that, could you please let your principal know, and we will talk to that teacher immediately. So you have your school contact information, so please address that immediately. And I'm sorry that that's happening to you. So we'll get to the bottom of it, but you will not get a 0. We have not finished the school year yet. We promise we'll make it right. What's the school year calendar for next year? So the calendar is the calendar as it stands right now, right? So, starting tomorrow, you're on spring break. Let me be clear. We're all on spring break. Everybody needs this break. You need to de-stress, work on you and your family, and get prepared in your heart and mind to absolutely bring back the thunder when we come back on April 16th. So we're not working. We're not going to call people in. After we do the food delivery on Saturday, all of our frontline workers need to go home and spend time with your families. Now, there are going to be a couple of essential staff that they're going to keep taking care of APS. They're going to be checking on our buildings, making sure that everything's safe and secure, making sure that we're getting prepared for Monday the 16th. And I want to say one thing about food on Monday the 16th. We are not running a 5-day-a-week food program. On the Mondays, we're going to give families food for the entire week. And I've seen the bags, so this is how it works. For one child to get 5 days of food for that week, it takes about 2 bags. So if you have 3 kids, what's 3 times 2? I need somebody to answer. I cannot hear you. Can somebody on the comments write that we know what 3 times 2 is? If you have 3 kids and each kid gets 2 bags, did somebody write an answer? It's 6, okay? It's 6. So when you go to the school bus or you walk to the site on the Monday, the 10 distribution sites, right? You're going to need to have enough hands to carry those bags. We are improving the bags, right? We're getting, I want to thank our basketball. Was it the Hawks, Rachel? Yeah, it was the Hawks. It was the Hawks. The Hawks they gave Gooder all of their food from the Final Four that we've been able to distribute to families, and they're giving us the super cool clear bags from the Final Four. So since no one got to go to the Final Four, if you're coming to get food, you're going to get those really cool bags. So they're great for the milk and the juices. So again, for every child, you're going to need about 2 bags. So mom, grandma, don't come alone. If you've got more than 1 kid, you're going to need more than 2 hands. All right. I hope we're clear on that. So we're going to do that. We're going to run the bus routes. We're going to take our time. We're going to make sure everybody gets what they need. And then we won't see people again until the next Monday. And I want to thank in advance, if we're able to work it out, the National Guard. They're going to be behind the scenes packing all those bags with us so that we can load the buses and have everything we need when we hit those routes. The next question is, what about the people on the front line, the essential employees who've been working? So after spring break, what people normally know, it's called like hazard pay, but and that's the concept. We are going to pay what we call hero pay. It will not be retroactive. It will be starting Monday, April the 16th. But we've named it hero pay because all we've seen from our custodians, our facility workers, our police officers, our food and nutrition workers, our central office staff, our IT staff, our communication staff, they are all coming in and really doing their best to be safe and secure, but at the same time, they're being exposed a lot in the public, and we want to absolutely appreciate them. So we'll make sure those staff members understand the hero pay, but we want to thank you for being with us. And we know as the virus ramps up, it's my understanding it's going to be peaking here somewhere toward the end of April, maybe April 22nd. And depending on how Georgia has done or how prepared we are, we're hoping that's the worst of it, but we don't know that yet. So thank you to our staff members, and we will be compensating you for that to the best of our ability. Some parents can't get free internet, and some APS laptops aren't working. We know. So the Comcast partnership we have is called... Okay, so wait, first, let me just say, the ones that we're distributing to you that are APS owned, you just have to call your principal, tell them the issue, they relay all that to IT, or you could call the number, the 404-802-1000 number, tell us the problem, we'll get you a ticket. I think that's how they do it. They give you a ticket number, and we work with you individually. But that's for the APS laptops. So we do work to switch those out, and we're ordering more, so we'll get you what you need. The second one is that some parents can't get the free internet. Okay, so this has been an issue all around. So APS has been working on food. We've actually, along with our Atlanta delegation, those are all the elected officials who are at the legislature, along with our school board. We have been out there really fighting for telecom services. I know that everybody's saying they're offering free open Wi-Fi. Well, I've been all over this city along with our IT teams, and I call everybody who lives everywhere, and I can tell you it's not free and open. So parents are right. You're not able to access that easily. But we do have the Comcast Essentials, and that's one way that you can kind of get started. But we took it a next level, and we're doing with Comcast, Get Our Kids Connected. And I think the website is www.atlantapublicschools.com/GetOurKidsConnected. Okay, and I appreciate Comcast for this. They are always using APS sort of like as the pilot / guinea pig for what they're taking nationally. But we're hopeful that what we've worked out will allow our families to get two things. And it's a campaign, so we have to raise money for it. So good news. There are a couple of partners who have helped us kick it off, and I'll name those in a second. But the design is that for $300 you can donate to our campaign to get our kids connected, and it gives you two things: 12 months of free internet and a laptop that the kid can keep forever. Right? You don't have to give it back to Atlanta Public Schools. Everything you've been receiving from Atlanta Public Schools is Atlanta Public Schools property. But if you get a laptop and if a person donates to get our kids connected, you will get that laptop and the free internet, and that's for you to keep. So we want to grow that campaign as much as possible. So Trinity Health Share gave us our first big donation at $50,000. Then Atlanta Tech Village gave us another $10,000 as soon as we opened it. And then we know that we have a couple of other people have reached out, and I'm very encouraged that there are others, probably during spring break, we'll hear more about other donors. But we are asking, if you have $300 to spare, would you please donate to this campaign fund? If you have $80 to spare, you could donate directly to Gooder and buy groceries for a family of 4 for a week. So just know we're doing both. We're still working with other telecom providers. We've raised this issue with the governor. I've raised it with our city and the mayor. I've raised it with our Atlanta delegation. But the only Wi-Fi we see that's open most consistently across Atlanta is Xfinity. There's some areas where you sometimes can't see it, or it has very weak signal. But we call and we give that feedback to our telecom provider. So if you don't see anything on your phone, call us, let us know, because we're trying to broker better deals, better service, better support for our families. And so there are a lot of other providers out there that can be helping. I want to thank Sprint 1 Million and T-Mobile for helping us get hotspots and computers and Wi-Fi access to our middle school students in particular. We were able to do that before we left for the first closure, and we thank you so much for those partnerships. But we are going to push on everyone in the telecommunications environment to do more because it's just not working on the ground the way it needs to work. And we are even helping families clear their debt with their provider in hopes that we can get families back on track even after this is over. The graduation ceremony, like I said, this is going to probably be the thing that is going to keep me up at night nonstop, and it's still happening. We are trying to figure out a very special way to do a ceremony. Again, I welcome your ideas, but it's going to require a careful balance of getting approvals from health department, making sure that the state Department of Ed is okay, making sure that the governor's office is okay. We don't want to do anything that accelerates the spread of the virus. So we're coming up with creative ideas. We test those. They'll often get shut down, and rightfully so, but it'll be the last thing that I give in on. I just don't want to do just a virtual program for our kids. That's kind of like the last option on the list. So we're still working through that. How will students get their personal belongings from lockers? When we get the all clear, whenever that happens, and I'd love to think that that's this summer, but I can't say that because I'm not the doctors or the CDC or the health officials. But it may require, and Please, I hope there's nothing important that you didn't grab when we close schools, but we may need to wait even till the next school year. So, when we are preparing to open, probably your caregiver, your mom, your dad may have to come to school and get those things for you. And I'm sorry about that, but we just won't be able to open schools for you to get your stuff anytime earlier. Okay, I keep calling my school and getting no answer after hours. Okay, well, please contact if for any reason you can't get your school. But okay, after hours, we normally don't answer the phone anyway. But I'm going to need the website also. I think let me just start with the phone number. You can't get your school, call us at central office, 404-802-3500. That's just we'll get you connected to whoever you need. But if you know it's a tech issue, call 404-802-1000. And then if there's any information that you need, just keep coming to our website at www.atlantapublicschools.com. www.atlantapublicschools.us. That is my website address. Then the / and you can put coronavirus, or you can do the / and put get our kids connected. So use the website link and then the / for any of the unique stuff that you need. So www.atlantapublicschools.us and then / coronavirus, and it'll just help you direct you to what you need. But our principals do know they're supposed to be checking their voicemails and doing those things. How can people donate or volunteer? I've got a lot of questions like this. We've answered it for the last few weeks, but I'll say it again. We did get waivers. Remember at the beginning, you had to get a waiver for everything. We had to ask the question, then it had to get they would run it up the flagpole, then it would come back down the flagpole. But now that we have so many waivers, we know this. We can use volunteers now, and we have been able to use volunteers. You can, with food prep, with getting on buses for food delivery, for helping with donations, and so on and so forth. So if you go to the coronavirus website, you'll be able to click on the box. I think it's a red box, and it says donate volunteer. When you click on that box, it'll show you some options on what you can do, and you can pick things that make you feel comfortable. So you don't have to physically be here to support Atlanta Public Schools or to support our students. Let's see. I want to remind everyone. My screen is so much slower than everyone else's. So, what if a student is sick? How does that impact online check-in and work? So, if you're sick, you can think of it sort of like at school. You still have to send a message to the school that you're out. So just tell the teacher. Even if you were so sick you couldn't do it the day of, the next day, just say, I'm sorry, I had to be out, I was sick, or whatever your message is, and the teacher will log that. How will I receive my diploma? Now, that's one where, okay, if you remember regular graduation, when you get it's always kind of funny, when you get the actual really pretty folder, there's nothing inside. So what we have to do is like we do every year. You get your diploma after graduation. And so it'll either be a pickup, which we prefer because, and I'm going to have to do a little bit of bossy booting fussing, because people don't go into Infinite Campus and put their correct address and phone number. So even while we're trying to give out these devices, or when it's time for you to get your diploma, we need to have correct information about you and your family and how to connect to you. So if you haven't updated that, if you know you've changed your cell phone or your number, could you please go into our Infinite Campus and update that information? Oh my little thing is kind of dead. Somebody said we love our teachers. I love them too. Let's see what else. Okay, I can't read anything else. But I want to say one more thing about the life of a virtual student. think about it by grade level. Everything you do at the earliest grade levels, basically, pre-K, kindergarten through fifth grade, don't do more than 3 hours of virtual work. And then when you're done with virtual work, move to only about 40 minutes of independent instruction. In other words, they can read or do play, instructional play, playing with manipulatives, counting out numbers, things of that sort for about 40 minutes. And then with each grade level, just kind of add another hour. So if it's 3 hours for K through 5, then what would it be through 6 through 8? If it was 3 hours, we're adding 1 hour. So 3 plus 1 is 4. Then we add another hour for 9 through 12. That's 5 hours. So think 3 for the babies, 4 for the middle, 5 for the top, right? And then do it in increments of 20 then 30 minutes. So it'll be 40 minutes for the babies, right? Then we're going to do 60 minutes for middle school and then 90 minutes for high school for independent work. So just remember that. We don't want kids like constantly on screen time. And I think that that's important for their learning. Enrollment for next year, you can go online now and visit that same email address, www.atlantapublicschools.us/enrollment, right? So you see a pattern happening here. The other slashes were coronavirus. The other slash was get our kids connected. We have other fun slashes, but I won't go through that. I'm going to move to, I don't know how much time I have left. I think I have maybe 5 minutes. I know that people, I think I saw some emails, and I also want to kind of go to my Twitter account because I saw some folks send me some things. Okay, the gloves are exhausting. I'm so over the gloves. I'll never wear plastic gloves again. I'll never do another meeting by Zoom. And this thing gives me zits and pimples. It is the most agitating thing for your acne that you could ever imagine. So, ladies, if you are planning on doing a virtual prom and up-close pictures, do not put a mask on 2 days before. Let's see. Where was my... I wanted to do some... Oh, no, I'm running out of time, but I wanted to pull up my... oh goodness, there were questions. Okay. Yes, prom, you got to talk to your high school. You cannot be in person. And you will get so busted by APS police officers if you show up on school property or try to do it in one of our parking lots. You're going to get in big trouble. So please do not do that. I know people wanted graduation. I'm just going through my Twitter account, see if I missed anything. Working through options here. Impact on school budget. Yeah, it's been significant. We still have to do all these things for the coronavirus. So like I said, I want to rethink with the time we have and how we might use that to be able to move through cobbling together those resources to have a strong start of the next school year. I think I got all of those. Okay, so I'm out of time. I think I'm down to 3 minutes, but I know I'm not sure I got to every single question. I didn't get to every single question, I don't think, but just know that we love you, we care about you. We're still trying to figure out things. Again, I want to encourage you to go to my blog at www.atlsuper.com. That one's com. Go to our website, www.atlantapublicschools.us, and make sure you look at all the alerts. I wanted to just say that there's some superstar folks who literally go through all of the rapidly changing guidance from the state. Our general counsel, Nina Gupta, has just combed through so much stuff that I'm sure she never wanted to have to deal with, but she's been a star. Dr. Katika Lovett, our Assistant Superintendent for Student Services. Dr. Valencia Hildreth, she's our Comprehensive Health Services Manager. They've led our task force every single day. Our Chief of Police, Chief Applin, who is just my heart. He is just so big-hearted. A tough guy that's like a big cuddly bear at the same time. He's been out there quietly and nicely, making sure playgrounds and play spaces aren't being used inappropriately. So be nice to him. He's just doing his job. I also want to shout out Angela King-Smith, who's the head of community engagement and communications. We've been buried every day with multiple requests. Her team's been coming in and out nonstop to make it possible for key information to get out there. I also wanted to thank all of our media partners. They have just been doing some of the most compelling work, lately about APS and taking the time to understand what our kids and families are experiencing. It has been just touching. And last but not least, I want to thank the chair of our school board, Jason Estevez, our vice chair, Ishay Collins, and all of our school board members for hanging in there with us during this trying time as well. Of course, we love our families, we love our students, we love our entire staff, so we appreciate you, and you can always reach out to us whenever you need anything. We'll try to get you connected. If we can't help you, we'll get partners who can. Have a great spring break. Be safe. I hope to see some of you on Saturday from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. To receive food distribution, whether you're a volunteer or a recipient of those services. We thank you for letting Atlanta Public Schools serve you and your families. I love you. Good luck, and we'll see you back again on Monday, April the 16th. 13th. Oh my gosh, Monday, April the 13th. What am I saying? I'll see you on Monday.